Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Today, I'm joined, as usual, by Alex von Reich. Got your name all smooth this time. You're welcome.
There you go.
And Mason Oxendale. And usually I'd start by asking them what they've done this month, but we spent the last couple minutes talking about how they did nothing and then finding out they actually did things, but they didn't write it down in our community notes. So, anyways, we'll talk about what I did and then see if it jogs your memory any further about things that you did this month. So, to start, had a new project start after I officially quit my job. So that was fun to get started, but quickly devolved into an electrical fiasco that involved me running I did it. I ran a new oven circuit across the house in a crawl space that was way too small.
Oh, that's what that story was about.
Yeah. I'll try and put a picture up for this, but we had to get a 50-foot circuit run in the attic. So I had to go down and back, and I was stuck in essentially almost less than a plank position, crawling across
Were you holding the wire with like your teeth?
Oh, I would push it in front of me, pull myself to the next truss, push it, and then keep going all the way down. And then the roof line changed, so I had to kind of slip under it. The trusses changed directions at that point. So instead of now, at first, it was all right because I could have one on my legs, on my midsection, and then more on my chest. And as I could pull myself through, I essentially just snaking all across these guys. When it changed directions, now I've got two of them that are running parallel to my body, so I'm having to wedge myself against one side to continue this crawl down this attic.
How hot was it?
It is pretty hot, but we did it at like 8:30 in the morning,
okay,
so that we just got right on it. But yeah, it was jeans, long sleeve shirt, dust mask. My guy Bobby was helping me, so I had like Bluetooth earbuds on the phone with him so that I could talk to him the entire way as we're making this crawl. And then eventually he ran to the other side to stick a glow rod through. We could attach the cable and he could pull it out above the panel. And then the hard part was turning around and going back the other way, because at that point I was tired just holding myself in the different positions, and then getting back through the change in the roof lines was a lot more difficult going out of there than it was getting into it. So by the end, like the rest of the day, I just felt drained of energy. It was just sweat all the way through the jeans, all the way through the shirt. Once I got out of there, took the shirt off, it was toast. So yeah, but we got that done. We got into so much more electrical on that project than I wanted to, but we got it all squared away. Drywall went in yesterday, so that should be behind us, and then we'll move on. Nice. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I would ask about what you guys did, but nothing.
Well,
cool.
I'll give Mason some time. So
I almost had a heat stroke as well playing golf. When I played for the first time at 12:30.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. I wore pants and I wore these like removable sleeves because my pale white skin, so I don't have to put sunscreen on.
Oh yeah.
But like after we were playing, my knees were all sweaty. I had black pants on. There, you could see when I got home, there was like sweat stains around my knees. And I was afraid to take a nap because I didn't think I would wake up.
Yeah.
It was fully exhausting.
Oh yeah.
Playing a round of golf.
So I played 3 rounds of golf this last month. One at Lookout Mountain was the first time doing Lookout Mountain for a friend's birthday.
That's a tough course for you.
It was a very tough course for me. And he started at like 3:30. So it was 114, 112. It was hot. I went through like 6 water bottles. So these water bottles, I went through 6 of these of water, and I still had a horrible headache. By like hole 14, I was like, I'm dying.
Did you pee?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I went through 2.5 of these. This is like 40 ounces.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no pee.
Didn't pee one time.
Just sweat it all out. My hands were just perpetually dry till like my other friends would get super sweaty, but my hands were just so dry it hurt to hold my clubs. So that was miserable. I'm never doing 18 any degrees after 110. Not worth it. I'll do 9, but yeah. Anyways, and I also got my first ever birdie, which is a big deal for me. Thank you. I've been golfing for less than a year, so I had a beautiful shot, like 6 inches from the hole, almost a hole in one.
Par 3?
Yeah, par 3. It was over the water. I've lost so many balls on that specific hole, so it was kind of like a little victory.
What course was it?
Bel Air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was super fun, and then got to go to Texas, visit my friend. A little surprise party there. We got to play golf in Texas too, which, I'll take 114 degrees of Phoenix versus like 95 of Texas humidity. My shirt just drenched the whole time. I feel like I'm swimming in it. I can't. I'm like, it's just horrible. And then the sun came out because we started like 6:30. It was just hot and everything chafes in the humidity. I'm a dry heat boy. I will always be a dry heat boy. So
come home with some rashes.
Yeah, dude, on my heels. Luckily nowhere else, but it was the heels getting rubbed by my shoes. That was terrible.
That's the worst. I hate when you get new shoes and you start feeling that on the back of your heel.
Dude, I get Band-Aids right away and I'll just right before it gets bad, because once it's bad, it just sucks for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yep. That's me.
I've been rocking crew cuts since about 7th grade, so I don't really run into that issue. Except for basketball shoes, when you have to tie them tighter.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Plus, in high school, I used to rock the Air Force mids with the strap.
I remember the Shaq shoes were just so popular, and just everyone loved the Shaq shoes.
Did you go to a poor school?
Yes. That's how you know.
Yeah.
That's how you know. It wasn't Jordans or anything. It was Shaq
The
shoes.
Shaq shoes.
Oh, he's got the Shaqs.
She can get them at Walmart.
Anyways, yeah. So, yeah, there we go. See, we had some stuff.
You know that the Shaq shoes were made like the same factory as like Jordans and Nikes were made in China?
Really?
Yeah, the same exact factory made
That's
them.
hilarious. Well, because I heard that Shaq wanted them to be affordable. He specifically didn't want, which, hey, shout out to Shaq.
Yeah, so did Stephon Marbury. If you guys know basketball that much?
No.
He used to be so he had like cheap shoes too for people.
But they weren't Shaq.
They were a little cooler. I got a pair of them.
That's cool.
Anyways.
One of the fun things that I did this month was there was this marathon row, and so it was a 6-person team, and you're just alternating. It was a competition, and it was a charity event, so they were raising money for it's called the Barbell Saves. It's a CrossFit gym that works directly with recovering addicts. So that's what they were raising money for that day. But it was 19 teams, and you're on the rower for. Our goal was to get it done in 2 hours 48 minutes. We were very proud of ourselves to get it done in 2 hours 41 minutes.
Jeez.
So, but yeah.
How long did you guys go? Because you take turns. Like how would you guys like set your limit for?
So there were different ways that you could do it. Some people were doing it that you'd row a specific distance and then switch. And then some people were even doing it where they're doing shorter distances so that you're able to kind of keep it at a faster pace and then switch. Other people were doing a little bit longer distances so that you don't have to waste time on the transitions, because it's about 10 seconds on average to switch between the people on the rower. And then the way that we did it was each person would row for 4 minutes, because depending on the skill of the rowers on our team, there was a guy who he would hold like a 143 pace for every 500 meters. So every 143, it's 500 meters. So you're doing a little bit over 1,000 meters in a 4-minute period. And we had a couple rowers that were just over 2 minutes per 500. So some of those are going to be just under 1,000 meters per 4 minutes. So we didn't want to stick someone who was a slower rower on there and say, hey, do 1,000 meters, because it might take closer to 5 minutes compared to someone else where it's like they're getting off at 3.5 minutes, and your time can drift away from you. But it was interesting because the first row, like, you feel good, you put in a good effort on it. Once you get into, and I think all of us rowed about 7 or 8 times. The middle 3 to 4 that you're rowing, you're starting to think, oh my gosh, like, are my legs going to start locking up on this? Am I going to be able to hold this pace the next time? Because we were holding some pretty aggressive paces right there.
When you say rowing, are you talking about the rowing machine, or is that some weird like sexual CrossFit thing you guys do to each other?
We only do that when you're there, but for this, it was the rowing machine.
Now, like, does it have to be at a like specific resistance? Do
No.
rowing machines have a resistance?
It has a damper, so you can select between. They've got a 1 to 10 on there, so you can change it. And so it's interesting seeing some of the people where they like to keep their setting. So, yeah. At the end, we had a couple sprints.
So did you win?
We came in 4th, so no. Yeah, the other team beat us by 3,000 meters, something like that, 3,000 to 4,000 meters. They were crushing it the entire time. I think they got off around. It was under 2 hours and 30 minutes. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
So they had some crazy guys and gals on that team. So but it was a lot of fun. So I'd do it again.
Classic CrossFitters, man.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's we need to lift heavy weight. So that was. I'm just glad it wasn't running because that would suck.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not a runner.
you're not a runner?
No. Do I look like a runner?
Oh, you're from South Africa.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
It's closer to Kenya.
Okay.
They produce some great runners. All right.
It's factual, actually.
Before we get into the business content of the podcast, we need to talk about our good friends over at Shamrock Farms with another unofficial ad read. So this month, I had a day that I was just feeling great. And I was like, you know what? I need a tasty treat. So I went and bought some Shamrock Farms. But then a week or two later, I was having a day where I wasn't feeling so great. I was feeling a little down. And I was like, you know what I need? A little Shamrock Farms. And what'd that do? Pepped me right up. Gave me that great feeling. And for anyone who thinks that I'm full of shit right now, this actually happened. I got Shamrock Farms. I felt exhausted that day. Felt just a little bit better heading into my day. So, yeah. Go to your local store. Get your hands on some Shamrock Farms chocolate milk.
Pure, great tasting milk in every sip.
There we go. All right, boys. Let's talk about what's been happening in the businesses. Alex, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So, complete transparency. I have earned a great deal, $0 for last month. A nice big goose egg. And, you know, I've been talking to you guys and a few other people about the strategies that I've been trying on LinkedIn, trying to figure out good things. I feel like I have a good understanding of my ICP, ideal client profile. I feel like I have a lot of confidence in terms of like actually talking to people and closing sales. But my biggest weakness has actually been generating leads to get to the discovery call and that kind of stuff. So it's been something I've been struggling with for a while, and I haven't really had, regardless of how many books I read and things I try to apply, I haven't figured out the secret juice yet, you know, to finally get like a consistent pipeline of work to be able to do all the things I want to do. So I actually, 2 companies actually reached out to me. One was a done-for-you service, and one was a we help you do it service for specifically lead generation. So company A, they had a pretty modest price, you know, to set things up, and they would promise you anywhere from like 20 leads a month.
What's modest price?
So it was.
Or does it depend on the specific companies?
I think it depends on the specific companies. This specific company had a really interesting pricing model, so it was anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for their one-time setup. That would guarantee you at least a month of leads. But then they would take anywhere from 10 to 20% of whatever deals you close, which I thought was pretty interesting. Can be good or bad depending on your business, whatever that model is. So
real quick, so if I hire you as my consultant, they're the ones that put us together.
Yep.
You have a contract that easy math, $10,000 a month. They're going to take a 20% split off of that. They're
Yep.
going to be taking $2,000 a month.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
On top of that initial setup fee.
Yep.
So something else interesting that they do is for all their leads, they'll generate like round tables for you. So once or twice a month, there'll be 5 to 7 leads in a video call, a Zoom or whatever. You'll get the chance to present to them. It's just for you. It's no one else. You get your chance to present, and then if you get any discoveries and you convert, the rest is up to you. So that's kind of like the whole done-for-you service model, which was interesting. And for me, who's someone who's not as knowledgeable about the marketing and sales portion, that was definitely intriguing to me. I was like, oh, that would be a great option. I could see myself trying that. A downside, though, is if you're not converting, then they just stop finding leads for you because obviously they want to get paid at the end of the day too, which makes sense. But also, if you don't have them, then and you haven't figured out what they're doing, then you haven't learned anything, and you're still heavily reliant on them. So that's something I wasn't a big fan of. Company 2 was more expensive. It's a 6-month contract, $2,000 a month, so $12,000 total. So much more expensive, but no percentage revenue. And they teach you how to do all their outreach and build the channels and use systems to do it yourself. So I really like that option because that would teach me everything, and I wanted to be able to do that myself. And then they also help with recruitment. Once you get to a size and you need to hire other people, they talk through the hiring process. They have a community. They've helped a lot of other consultants. Specifically for them, they've worked with a lot of IT consultants. So they have a lot of experience in my niche. In fact, they've even helped another Power BI guy as well. So I thought that was really interesting. And something that honestly really converted me for Company B was that they offered an ROI guarantee. So their guarantee was that by the end of those 6 months, if you haven't made your money back, they would just keep working with you until you've made your money back. And a question I asked them was, okay, how many people of your clients have you had that have done everything you've told them to and still haven't met that ROI? And they're like, to be honest, about 10%. And usually almost all of them have made that ROI in either month 7 or month 8. It was just, you just had to let the engine run. So I thought that was super interesting. They were really transparent, very straightforward guys. So I'm actually starting the onboarding process with them. Did it today for the first time. So we're going to see how that goes, and hopefully it works out.
I feel like that'll be good for you.
Yeah.
Because anytime you talk about it, you seem very knowledgeable. Like I couldn't tell if you were if you were bullshitting or not. That's part of sales. So
Yeah.
I feel like more people you can get in front of that'll benefit you.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully it goes well. I think it's going to be a worthwhile investment, but time will tell, right? So 6 months from now, future me will be like, hey, it's all bullshit, or hey, no, it's actually super good.
True.
Yeah.
Now, if it is bullshit, will you put the company B on blast?
Not on a podcast, no.
Okay. Privately. Yes.
Privately, maybe. But I'm just like, I'll tell all you guys, hey, if anyone reaches out to you, don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a very loyal person in general. So if someone does good by me, I try to do good word of mouth. So I mean, Thaddeus has benefited from that, but.
From your mouth?
From my mouth. My neighbor.
Did you just catch up to that?
No. I want to be very clear, to all of our viewers, what my mouth is doing. Anyways,
I'm
yeah.
just thinking about the people who routinely listen to this podcast. And I want to say I'm sorry.
Hey, you can always edit that out. If you choose to leave it in, that's up to you. Yeah, but in terms of action steps, I'm not really doing anything too different right now. I just started, like I said, onboarding today, so I don't necessarily know what that looks like.
You probably have a buttload of new action steps for us.
Honestly, yeah, probably. It is interesting though. They do start with the basics, right? So they're having me go through, and they're working on the offer because like if your offer sucks, you're not going to get anything anyways. So you need to make sure that not only is your offer good, but you're reaching the right people with the right offer. So it feels like they're very prepared in terms of a lot of their pathways, and they have a lot of backgrounds in consulting for big companies. So we'll see.
And then did you approach them, or did they approach you?
They approached me.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and I think in a situation like that as well, you're going to probably have a lot more preparedness out of a company if they're coming to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wonder, did you ask them like how many companies stay with them after 6 months? Like, because they're doing so well?
I don't know, because you'd have to keep paying that fee if you like per month. If you they auto renew on a 3-month basis, so a lot of them they have a lot of like learning and stuff, but not necessarily everyone needs one-on-one coaching.
So I guess the question being then, their goal is in 6 months we should be able to take you through a process, this type of training
Yep.
that going forward, training wheels come off.
Yep.
And you should be able to do this thing on your own.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they don't have any kind of like long-term stuff. Like they're solely just to help companies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Where
cool.
the other company is more, we're going to continue to bring you leads.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then they're always taking a percentage. So
Yes.
then, like, no matter how well you're doing, they're doing great too because they're hitching to your boat or you're hitching to theirs. So I don't know. And they've already helped around 300 consultants, and so they have a community for all these consultants to like, or just clients just to talk to each other. And a lot of people will come back after a year or two and say, "Hey, I've got new challenges now. Now I want to scale from you've already helped me go from 0 to 1. I want to go from 1 to 2, and these are the things I need help on."
Okay.
So they have
Yeah.
they have a lot of resources, but for the most part, it's really clearly defined in terms of like even in the 6 months, it's broken out into 2-3 month sprints is what they call. So like, all right, by the end of 3 months, you will have done X, Y, and Z. By the end of 6 months, you will have done this, and
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
so it's very, very structured.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, Mason. What do you got for us?
Well, let's see. Recap the numbers. Brought in just a little over 6,500. I had one of my listings close and another rental. I think that's like my 4th or 5th rental. That is absurd. But that was
Is
my
it
numbers.
just- that can't be your 5th. I thought you've done a lot more than that.
My 5th rental? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I thought
I
you've
have,
done more.
no one. I only have one buyer, one seller, and then the other 5 are rentals. Oh, I do have a referral from New York, too. But yeah, a lot of good rentals. Well, I mean, I've gotten along with them, so like,
Yeah.
and they're also a lot of four of them are like they're just renting because they have to get their credit score up and stuff. So
Yeah.
still working with them. But I mean, right now I've got 2 buyers under contract, 1 active listing. If you're looking for a home out in Queen Creek, I got you. And then I have 3 more listings coming soon by the end of this month. So, yeah, things are going good.
That's awesome. What are we seeing in terms of the numbers with the inventory and interest rate right now in the greater Phoenix area?
Pretty steady. Pretty steady. We've been around 3-4 months now, around 13 to 12,000 homes, so we're still there. The average days on market's 42 days, which is, we like to see that. We prefer it, closer to 30, 20, but I mean, it's that's where the market is. I mean, over 1,200 homes are closing every week, and there's almost 1,200 new homes coming available. So it's like every single week there's 1,200 homes buying and selling. So the market's moving. Just the interest rates, people, because what are we at? Still 7.14. I think there was like 1 or 2 days that we were at like 6.99, and then we popped back up a little bit. Who knows? I blame the presidency stuff for all the interest rates, all the marketing and all the bullshit going around. I don't know what the hell's going on. Nobody knows. If you know, let me know. That'd be awesome. But so, me and Thaddeus have always said this since the beginning we started this podcast. Is depends on your situation if it's the right time to buy or sell. Which would lead me into one. I'm not really going to dive too deep into it because I know that we have some other stuff to talk about. But one of the things to combat the higher interest rates right now is if you don't mind living in the outer, if you don't want to live in the middle of town, you can get some new builds for 4% interest rates, or you can find some assumable loans for those people who bought in 2019-20 that have 2-3% interest rates, and now they need to sell because their family grown and whatnot, stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different ways to help you get that lower interest rate because that seems to be the big thing right now. But people are still buying.
Yeah.
But yeah, action steps. I'm still trying to do the Instagram reels I did every week. I've been recording. I've been going out with my buddy Scott. We've been recording it. I've done a poor job of putting it together. It's more of just got to get used. I got to get used to the doing it because I see all the videos and I dread having to cut it up. But then I started. Doing some time blocking specifically for some cold and warm lead follow up, which has been nice. I haven't had really any luck out of it yet, but I've been able to throw those people to the, certain people to like stop wasting my time on it and stuff like that. So reducing the stress levels. So I will be doing the same thing.
How many contacts were you able to get through?
I think I was getting through about 5 every day. It took me forever because I've had these cold leads for a while, so I would have to read through everything and do it. So then I was very specific in email, call, text, and stuff like that. So I probably got through about almost 30.
So that's 6
So probably a
sessions.
little more, yeah. 6-ish, yeah, it depends. I think I did a couple on Saturday, so 6-ish a day kind of thing. I just set just specific 30 minutes. And then if I was done at 28 minutes, I wasn't going to start a whole new one. So basically, those are my action steps for this coming week is to finish out those cold and warm lead follow-ups while I still follow up with the hot people who are actively looking to buy and sell. And then almost done with it with my monthly newsletter for my sphere of people I know. That way now I've got all areas covered, and it's just doing it, getting it done.
Nice, dude.
So, and then something I was thinking about was you've got an active listing right now. You've got 3 coming soon listings. And for anyone who doesn't know, coming soon listing is it's not actively on the market. There's about 14 days before it'll be actively on the market.
30 days now.
Okay, 30 days. So that means you have 4 people who are listing with you. And typically inside of real estate, if you're an agent who's becoming more established, if you've built trust with people, you're going to start getting listings. When you're looking at the 4 people that you've got right now, where are those people coming from?
From my sphere. All of
Have
them.
they bought with you? Have they worked with you before, or is it just
like one of
they know
the
you?
buy sells was I helped as a client of mine to help them buy 2 different houses, and it's their parents. They need to sell theirs. They're buying another one. My active listing, I helped them buy a house 3 years ago. Now they're selling it because they're moving to Nashville. The other listing is actually a rental. I helped this guy, this vet, he had to get into a rental, had some weird divorce thing going. So now he's got his house that he got from the divorce that needs to be sold and stuff like that.
Nice.
Cool.
So, yeah. So I think getting the monthly newsletter out consistently will be another step up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else?
No.
Cool. All right. Real quick, the specific info on, let's say, the building industry. We've got 2x4s at $373. That should be about the same as last week. Plywood $17.88. That one's actually a significant drop. Copper $29.67. That one's a drop from last month as well. Just real quick on those.
Plywood is under $20?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, and last year we saw it bounce between 12 to 24. So this is right now kind of in the middle of that. We had seen it up in above $20 a sheet for a while. So I'd say the 2x4s, that going up, I'm interested to see if it stays there for the most part. Plywood does bounce around more. I just took note of it last month that everything seemed up, but now that the plywood's coming back down, copper's relaxing, I don't think that that's just a hike across the board. So going from there to recap the numbers that we've got from the month of June. In June, we took in $27,363. So at this point, we are $6,354 away from wrapping up the road to 100K. I honestly, when we started this at the beginning of the year and when we had talked about this at the end of last year, this was something that I didn't know if I'd be able to do it in a 12-month period. So I was super nervous going in. So I was even talking to my wife earlier today about, I'm very proud of how that has all lined out. And we talked about at the beginning of this that the road to 100K is it's a gross numbers metric. So that does not, we're not talking about profit in that, but it was, like we said from the very beginning, this was to kind of create momentum. So that's something that obviously last month getting to announce that I quit my job, and right now we're knocking on the door of that road to 100K, wrapping that up. That's something that I'm super proud of and I was super nervous about. So to see that come through, I'm super happy with.
Do you think you can, you didn't think you're doing 12 months, do you think you can hit the revenue 100K and the net 100K in 12 months?
We'll see. There's some stuff in the works that I'll tell you guys off of the recording. But real quick to get into the action steps, and that's going to kind of tie into some of this, is so I had my sheet. There was 120 realtors left on there. I got through 90 of them. If I was doing the same thing, if I could find 30 minutes was the one that worked well for me, just because this month has been busy. Because we have 3 kitchens going right now and some other projects that we're working on either selling or we just recently got deposits on, stuff like that. So we got 90 of the calls done. Emails were going out off of those. One of them that I was super excited about was I got my second lead off of that realtor list, and I was given a lead. They're looking to redo their entire downstairs area. So new flooring, new kitchen, blow out some walls, stuff like that. So right now we're in the design process with them. I had my initial meeting with them. We're doing a follow-up meeting with a bunch of the trades. So that was something I'm super excited about in terms of seeing, all right, the action steps that I'm taking in terms of these cold reach outs to realtors has been turning into something. I've also had a couple people that I've networked with in terms of there's a handyman that works exclusively in Scottsdale and I think Paradise Valley, but in Scottsdale, and he was, when I was talking to him, he's very specific with the amount of work that he does. He said if it's larger projects, he'd be happy to refer it over, and he's had 2 leads that he sent my way. So super happy about that as far as just seeing the networking's working on that. I also met with a designer recently, and her name's Stephanie Stewart. She's a fantastic designer. And then I kind of want to tease something that she's working on. She showed me a product that she's putting together, and it's for if someone has a standard sized bathroom, she's going to have pre-put together packages for if someone wants to remodel their bathroom. So it doesn't have to be that you go specifically to a designer, pay the full fees for all their time. This is going to be more of like a spec remodel. So she'll have called out inside of that all the details, the things that the homeowner would be looking for. And we're talking about doing a little bit of a partnership on that, where for the people in Arizona, I would put together, hey, here's the pricing for someone who would want to do exactly what she's laying out inside of that. So she's still in the works on that, but it was great to get to know her. And then she also was talking about, hey, we've got some people that are looking to do a remodel. So it's just one of those things as far as the calls, the networking, they're working. Things are in process. So I'm very happy with how all that's going. I guess there's another networking thing where some guys here, they have a company that is trade specific. They ended up passing on my name to a designer as well. So a lot of it hasn't converted yet, but I'm very happy that the company name is going in a lot of directions right now, because that just means a lot more at bats. So, who is it?
It's Larry.
It's Larry. I'm gonna see him tomorrow morning.
Are you?
Yeah.
Tell him I ignored his phone call on the podcast.
So, super happy with how the action steps are working out, stuff like that. So, we've got 2 of our kitchens that we're winding down right now. I'm hoping to have those buttoned up in the next week. We've got one that we're in the middle of, one that we're going to be rolling into end of this month. So, things are things are moving in the right direction. We're just trying to keep the product. We're trying to make sure we have an excellent product, great customer service, and then I'm trying to just keep on selling it right in front of it. So
Heck yeah.
When I said Leary, I was talking about the one of the Saito originals, Chavez painting.
yeah,
He was calling me back on a project.
yeah. Just calling it 7 p.m.
Probably because he never texted me back.
This is something that I've noticed recently is I've started to, it's not real frustration, but I get annoyed by it sometimes, like just in a very small way, where I'll be working later at night and I want to just call someone about something or start texting people about things. And it's like, it's 6 p.m., it's 7 p.m., whatever it is. And I'm just like, I really shouldn't do that. But my impulse is like, I'm working. Isn't everyone else working? So, it's totally wrong, but whatever.
I used to get like 3 a.m. Saturday emails from a CFO before, so yeah, not everyone has the impulse control.
Would you? Well, that's an email. I will send those emails. I'll send emails late at
That's
night,
fair.
early in the morning. Like, if I start working at 4 a.m., people will start getting emails at 4 a.m. So I don't care. It's like you're going to get in the office, and it's like,
Yeah,
there it is.
sure.
So
Yeah.
if it's a call or a text, though, I feel like people are more like, do I need to respond to this right now?
Yeah, yeah.
So, Larry, no. We'll get back to you soon. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Cool. We're going to continue with our segment called Company Thoughts. And so we're going to move our orientation here in a second, but we've got probably about 20 minutes to get into it. So I'm going to pull my headset off, and if things start...
Yeah. It'd probably be easier if you're like, now let's get into the company thoughts. And then you just cut this part out where you're standing up.
All right.
It'd be a better transition.
True.
Ready?
Yep.
Now let's get into the section of the show we call Company Thoughts. All right, guys. So this month, I guess, on what we wanted to talk about was this idea of deserve versus earn. And so we were discussing this before we started the podcast and thought it'd be best to kind of define the terms, how we're going to be discussing them. So for deserving, it's going to be the expectation of a precise outcome regardless of specific inputs and or leverage. Whereas earn, we're going to define it as the combination of inputs and or leverage in a specific area providing a marketable outcome. So the big things that we're going to key in on are specific inputs and leverage, and then the expectation of an outcome versus the marketable outcome. The reason why we want to get into this is, one, we have people in, I'd say, general society that there's a lot of expectation of what they should have, whether that be if it's money, there's healthcare, childcare, like just run down the list of things that they deserve, want, or if we're to fall in line with our definition, the outcome that they're looking for. The other area that we see this in is going to be companies. A lot of times there's going to be people who think they should get a certain wage or a salary for the year or a certain position. And this is something that the guys brought up when we were talking about this, that there's oftentimes someone who they start in a position, they've been there for a decade, and another person who shows up and has been working there for fewer years than they have gets a promotion into a higher up position. And then the person who's been there for the decade says, because I was there for the decade, I deserved this precise outcome. Now, what we want to contend in all of this is that if the management that made this hire was being fair, that what they were looking at was something besides the 10 years that they were with the company. And there's a different variable. That variable may have been if it's the amount of hours, the productivity that someone puts in. So as we start to look at the inputs and leverage, we want to start to define this because Mason was pointing out beforehand, these things can get very wordy, they can get very vague, and people can get lost in all of it. So in terms of inputs can be like something very easy as far as the amount of hours that someone puts into something, the amount of reps that someone puts into something. If it's a door-to-door salesman, how many doors did you stop by? How many doors did you knock on? The leverage comes into it's, how do I want to say this? The disproportional result that you get out of it in terms of if we take our door-to-door knocking, if we have two guys, they're both on either side of the street, they both knock on 20 doors, but one guy makes one sale, the other guy makes 5 sales. There's something different if we were to pretend that all those customers were equal, all circumstances being equal. There was something in there that gave the guy the leverage to get 5 sales. Sometimes that is skill in terms of being a salesman. How did you present yourself? We're trying to figure out what is that leverage that you both had the same inputs into the same situation, but the outcome was disproportionate. So for some people, that's going to be if Alex and I if I wanted to start Thaddeus Analytics and say, I'm now a consultant for a company, and I get a client and he gets a client, they ask us to do the same thing, he knocks it out in a day, I'm over here monkeying my way through a keyboard, and at the end of a month, I still don't have what they want, he can go on to make more and more money because the skill provides a lot of leverage inside of that situation. The reason why we want to be very specific with this idea of the inputs and the leverage is because we see a lot of times inside of a capitalistic society, there is a great opportunity to earn things. That if you increase the amount of inputs that you have, if you put the time into increase the amount of leverage that you have, a lot of what people are looking for, their expectation or their desires, can be seen on the other side of that. What we see a lot of times in culture, and that what we want to discourage inside of our companies, and I'll speak more specifically for me, that what I want to discourage inside of my company is anyone who comes in with this idea that I deserve X amount of dollars, whether that's I deserve to make $100,000 a year. It's like, well, we need to first talk about what are the inputs that you're providing towards the company, because right now what we're doing is construction. So are you bringing construction skills with leverage that produces income to the company that can then allow the company to pay you the amount that you want? If not, then you're talking about something, you have an expectation of something, but you don't have the specific inputs and leverage that we're looking for. If you have those specific inputs and leverage, if someone brings in for the company $1 million a year, and we're just for the sake of this conversation, $1 million of profit a year, it's going to be like, yeah, we're going to pay you 6 figures pretty freaking quickly, because we don't want to see that person leave. We want to see that happening continually for our company. So the conversation that I really want to drive at in all of this is the idea that people have desires. We have desires. Our employees are going to have desires. Our employees' families are going to have desires, all those things. We want to encourage a culture of earning based on there's inputs and leverage that you can do. So it's the amount of, if it's the amount of remodels that one person can manage, if it's the amount of homes that a realtor can be selling, whether that's on a team or individually, whether that's an employee that can go through a lot of data and format it for a company, it's the amount of times that they're doing it or the skill that they have to do it quicker, better, just across the board. We'd say we'll just say better. We'll leave it there. But that's where we say that provides more for the company, and we can provide that back to them in terms of their desires. We want to discourage people from saying, I deserve based on certain criteria that do not bring in income or opportunity for the company. Boys, did I miss anything inside of all that? Anything that we want to emphasize with that?
No, I think you covered that super well in terms of all the aspects. Yeah, I really think you broke that down well.
That's not helpful. We've got 14 minutes left.
We don't have to take 14 minutes. You did a really good job.
Yeah, I feel like you fully explained that a lot better than in the 20-minute first run you did.
No, seriously. I
Yeah.
think it's better to be more concise and get straight to the point and actually explain it rather than just talk for 20 minutes just for the
Yeah.
sake of talking for 20
We
minutes.
could have a whole podcast on going over the the Gen Zs and their deserve situations they have going on.
I think we deserve to have Alex stop coughing.
I can't help it.
Cool.
So basically, what you're saying is you can't be a bitch and work for Saito.
Yes, that's a lot of what it comes down to. And then I think I can speak for all of us in terms of, like, we're all Christian guys here. So to maybe even hammer this point home specifically from our perspective too, is that as Christians, we believe that we're sinners and the only thing that we deserve is death. So it's for us to really take this idea of us deserving anything, it really goes out the window. So we're blessed to have an opportunity. We believe a lot of people inside of America, inside of the West, are blessed to have an opportunity. And a lot of it is that you do need to still participate with your inputs and your skill to create leverage to get the outputs that you want out of that. Because we look at it as, like I said, we don't deserve anything. We deserve death, like I said, in all of this. And that if we were to even just be very explicit with what we believe in terms of the gospel, that Jesus died for our sins and he's raised from the dead. And that's the only reason why we have a future expectation or a future hope that someone else has put in the inputs and the leverage to provide that type of a future for us.
And, I'll add to that as someone who comes from another country and as, I watched my parents come here. They moved here when they were in their 40s. I was obviously super young, but I mean, just the amount of opportunities that my parents had that, my mom never had more than a high school education and she ended up in a really good paying job. My dad did all kinds of things, everything from like consulting where he's getting paid crazy amounts of money to truck driving. So there is a lot of flexibility here and there's a lot of opportunities, but not most of this doesn't just show up in your hand or anything like that. I don't think there's anything we just deserve inherently that it's, oh, okay, just because you woke up and existed today, you should get paid all this money or you should get this award or whatever. I think there's a lot of things you have to do about it. But I think to your point about leverage, it's not just about inputs too. It's not just because you work really hard doing one thing, doesn't mean you automatically are entitled to whatever reward, because you might be doing great work, but you're just doing it in the wrong area.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where we were talking about beforehand. You can almost fall off an error on either side.
Yep.
That I just want the outcome regardless of the inputs. But the reason why we couple that with the leverage, and I would even almost like sneak opportunity in there as well, is that you can knock on a bunch of doors trying to sell Rolexes, but if you're doing that in a low income area, it's like you're not going to be successful because you're selling the wrong thing to the wrong market.
Yep.
To throw the cherry on top of this, the last thing I'd like to say to it is being in a situation where you are looking for this precise outcome without these inputs or leverage and just wanting it and wanting it and wanting it and saying, I deserve it and I deserve it and I deserve it, that will get you nowhere, and that gets our society nowhere. So this is something as far as when we create a culture, and I think historically America has been a place where the culture has been, what inputs are you putting in and what leverage do you have to create this outcome that you want? If you're not doing that, and if our society isn't doing that, we start to see a decay in the things that we want are going to no longer be available because there's going to be no one to put in the inputs and or leverage. So the encouragement is for anyone who's looking as far as if it's with Saito, if they're going to come on board with the team with Saito, or anyone in just American culture, that I want to say, if you want something, if there's a desire that you have, please understand the inputs and leverage that goes into all of it, because that's how we build the society all together. And that's how we continue to raise the bar inside of what we say is the greatest country on earth. Is if we just say, hey, we made it, and we park the car, someone else is going to come flying by us real quickly. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Let's wrap it up. Socials, websites. Alex, where can they find you?
Control-analytics.com or LinkedIn/VReich.
Mason?
On Instagram, at Mason Oxendale.
Cool. It's cytobuilding.com, cyto_building, or cyto-building.com, and then cyto_building on Instagram.
So until next time.
Hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And your word blessed.
See you, everybody.